Hello, and welcome to Season 5, Episode 8 of Rampant Pyanodon. If you're brand new, please watch the base tour episode. Otherwise, welcome back. Last episode, we started building this beautiful transport drone mall, and now I'm thinking it's less of a mall and more the backbone to something larger. I'm not exactly sure where we're going to go this episode, but I know that we're going to start with mechanical parts. So, let's start with that. Huh. It was pretty easy. So I thought I'd have to go on this whole journey for mechanical parts, but I guess I already went on it because I already had all 8 of these materials on hand. And I just get it delivered here, or I would get it delivered here, but we're having some production shortages. Spent a couple hours on this issue, and I thought the problem was this chain, so I stole some acetylene from power production in a smart way to not, to prioritize power, but it wasn't. So then my other thought was that it's actually this chain, except aromatics are a lot more of a pain to make. So instead, I'm just going to hand feed this a couple pieces, and there we go, mechanical parts. Okay, and now that we have mechanical parts, what do we exactly do with them? We have 8 different things that we can make here. The first 3 are biomass, coal, and oil power plants, more ways to make power. Salt mines are useful to get salt, which I'm sure is useful somewhere. The jetpack equipment, awesome, but I think you need jet fuel to power that, and I don't want to focus on that right now. The 2 things I'm most excited about, other than the 3 things I'm most excited about are the tidal power plant, the power switch, and the heat exchanger. Tidal power plant, because it's just more free alternative energy, and I'm pretty sure that you just place those down and they just work. The heat exchangers are exciting, not because of the heat exchanger itself, but because now we can use high pressure steam turbines, which we unlocked a little bit ago. And high pressure steam turbines are just way more efficient steam turbines, actually. So we're actually going to go back and upgrade our geothermal electricity. Currently, our geothermal power plant is consuming 544 geothermal water per second and outputting 131 megawatts of electricity. If we were to switch to the new high pressure steam turbine and heat exchanger, we would consume the same 544 geothermal water per second and output 892 megawatts instead. That's like a 8 or 9-fold increase in power. It's almost as much as a gigawatt, which is taking up an entire continent right now. But yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so it seems like I was using the wrong recipe, and in order to use the high pressure steam turbines right now, I need salt. And salt is on different continents, so we are just going to move on to the power switch. The idea with the power switch was to use it in combination with the power combinator mod in order to turn off the gigawatt when it's not needed, because we can just prioritize the energy coming from our renewables first. But as it turns out, the power combinator mod is locked behind logistics science, which is fine because we can still install the power switch and see how the base runs on just renewables. And yeah, after 10 minutes, it looks like the renewables are good, so we can plop down 2 more tidal power plants for another source of renewable energy and move on to our next goal. Okay, so what's next? I'm going to gun for logistics science, and I'm going to go for a little bit before scaling it up, which is a surprising thing to hear me say. But the first step is we need more batteries, because right now our battery production is halted. This is a production chain for batteries, or at least the production chain highlighting the deficit, and that is tar. We're out of tar, which means we're out of aromatics, plastics, food, poop, batteries. So we're going to do 2 things to help. First, we're going to scale up our tar a little bit, and also I realized there's an alternative recipe for manure that doesn't need food, so I would no longer need plastic. So I'm going to switch to the manure recipe to not need food, and I'm also going to increase the amount of tar that we have. All right, and that is more tar, which eventually leads into more batteries. We can check that off, and next up, let's work on the animal sample. All right, so animal samples are made of a lot of animal parts: bones, brains, guts, meat, large skin, and even blood. They're made in a gene lab, so we're going to do it in our lab area. Currently, a lot of these materials are being composted right now, so we should remove them from the composter and kind of just drag it up into the lab area. Okay, nice. Now let's work on some primary sources. So the primary production will just be cotton guts. Turns out if you full render a cotton gut, you get everything you need except for the plasmids. So I just make the cotton gut loop with the cotton gut pups and the stud pups and the cotton gut studs. And they eat a lot of stuff. They like tree seeds and moondrops and railsia seeds and tin, and they even eat fish eggs, which means I have to put the whole fish egg loop in here, or the whole fish loop in here as well. And yeah, after all that, we have our animal samples. Okay, and now that we're done with the animal sample, we can move on to the next item on the list, and that is the poor alien sample. The poor alien sample is relatively easy to make. It seems like we just need biological samples and ground samples. We have most everything for biological sample except for bone meal, but bone meal is really easy to make. The ground sample is just rich clay and soil. We have a ton of extra rich clay from aromatics production, I believe. And we can also make a primary source for rich clay as well. I think it's just ash and water, which is very simple. So let's go ahead and add these. Okay, and now we're making poor alien samples. Or we would be if we had a native flora, which is surprising that we don't, because we built a whole boat to a whole new island just to get more native flora. But I guess it's not enough, and that's fine. Right now, what we can do is work on dealing with the excess byproducts that come into our transport mall and are kind of clogging some of our inputs. All right, here's my excess byproducts area. I basically just take excess organic material and turn it into biomass. Then I use that biomass to burn other things. So right now, clay is the only excess material in my base. Okay, and now that we have that out of the way, the last thing that we need to make Logistics Science Pack is the solidified Sarcoris. I don't really know what this is, but it takes basic substrate, which we have. It takes native flora, our good friend that we're almost out of, plasmids, which we have, and cotton guts as well. The one thing that we don't have is depolymerized organics, but this is simple. I mean, it takes two things: liquid manure and subcritical water. We know how to make liquid manure. You just feed hogs some food and you get manure. Subcritical water is also very easy. I mean, it's just pressurized water with biomass, which we have tons of excess. So yeah, let's just build this. Awesome. And now all we have to do is route the logistics science into the new science labs, and then we can just make our first new logistics science. And there we go. Logistics science. It only took me 511 hours to reach this point. But logistics science is I think this is where like the real game begins for me, because then we get rail systems and proper cargo systems, and also 2.0 just dropped like 3 days ago. So I'm going to be rebuilding my entire base, and logistics science is necessary for this. This is going to be like a restarting point. But since we have some time left in this episode, I think we can just squeeze in one more science pack. Vanilla Ice Cube, another science? What are you talking about? Well, it's not a real science. It's the military science pack, which you can get shortly after unlocking logistics science. It's really simple. I mean, we already have 3 of the components. It's just a piercing rounds, aluminum plate, and a lead plate, which we have. And the last item is stone wall, which we can make simply with stone brick. But we can also make stone brick out of sand and rich clay from gravel and stone. And we have a lot of extra rich clay, so I want to put that to use. All right, and now we have military science. We got logistics science and military science in the same episode. I mean, someone bring up the roadmap. I was supposed to just be working on mechanical parts, but I got so much farther than I thought I would. This is only episode 8, so I don't think I'm going to end the season here. I'm probably going to end the season when I mass produce logistics science. But for now, I guess that'll bring us to the end of the episode. I'd like to give a special thanks to all of our patrons. Thank you guys so much, and I'm excited for logistics science and 2.0, so I'll see you guys in the next episode.